For 7 days, I've changed just one thing in my drawing routine, the paper. I've never used black paper before, so I've decided to try it every day for a week. And to be honest, some of the results were okay, some of them were very frustrating, and some of them really surprised me. Today, I'm going to share with you what actually happened, what I've learned, and if the black paper is something worth trying. When I've decided that I'm going to draw on a black paper, the first thing that I did was to make research about how to approach that medium. The first thing was to mainly use color pencils. So I've took my color pencils to create a palette on the last page of my notebook, just to see how the colors appear on the paper and to get an idea of which colors I can use. I've used two types of color pencils, British brand Derwent and German Faber-Castell. To be honest, both of those sets work pretty well on the black paper. At the end, I didn't use any other pencils rather than white and yellow and orange for one of my drawings. And the other thing that I've used is the white jelly roll pen. It looked amazing on the black paper. It's perfect for highlighting. The first drawing that I did was creating some bubbles. I used cups from jars in order to create those circles, and here I used mainly the white pencil that I have and the white jelly roll pen. At first I felt like I'm not sure what I'm doing, but later on I think I get used to the idea that the paper is not white and I need to change a bit my approach. The first issue that I've got was, what should I draw? I just opened Pinterest and I searched for black and white high contrast images because I really wanted just to have the white and the black. And once I did that, I've got a lot of ideas of what I can draw. One of the suggestions that I have, select images or references that don't have so much detail. I would say adding a detail might be very overwhelming, especially when you're a beginner and you need to get used to the idea of drawing on black paper. Just look for high contrast black and white images and that's gonna work. If this made you curious about drawing on black paper, I've shared a free ebook in the description below to help you get started. It's completely free and designed for your very first attempt, so you can check it out. With the second illustration, I had a false start, I would say. I've decided to create a penguin and I approached it as I'm drawing on a white paper, which was not a great idea and it didn't work well, so I've decided to try it again, and this time I approached it more like silhouette and there is a bright light just shining in his left side, and to be honest I really liked how it worked, but I think I need to add way more detail. As you can see, the white color represents both the shadow and the highlight because I have to have some kind of an outline, otherwise we cannot create the shape of the animal. I think the most important part when it comes to drawing on black paper is just to imagine that you have a very bright source of light from somewhere, and that is going to help you a lot with creating the illustration. The third illustration were pretty nice and very relaxing for me, and actually it ended up so well that I was really surprised by the end result. I've used again a reference for that one. I believe creating night scenes on that paper is way better than drawing it on the white paper, just because everything is black and it represents the night pretty amazingly, and you are just going to draw a few lines here and there to create the lights, but the overall feeling is there just because of the color of the paper. Whenever you draw illustrations like this, the black color pencil can be used as a modifier. Basically, instead of using an eraser, you can use a black pencil. It can work with the same success, but just keep in mind that erasing the black pencil is pretty tedious, I would say impossible, at least on my paper, and whenever I used it I have to call it a day and just to keep it as it is. I've heard a lot of times was that it's gonna be pretty difficult to erase white pencil, so you better don't erase anything, but to be honest I didn't have such problems. I've erased a lot of white pencils on my illustrations, so maybe it depends on the paper if the eraser is going to erase the white color well or not. On my paper I didn't have any issues with that, and I've erased whenever I needed to, and to be honest I've erased a lot. I've tried to create silhouettes in most of my drawings. I really felt like this is the way I can represent the illustration better on the black surface. In the illustration with the bird, I decided creating it with a yellow color just because I really wanted to change the white colors and to try some variety here. In the initial test of the colors, I've noticed that the yellow color appears pretty well on that black paper, so I've decided to go with it. And to be honest, the end result was not bad. I would say though that maybe the object needs to be different, maybe a fire or a candle. Next time I may try creating some kind of a flame or something like that. I didn't try any other colors than these two, and the rest was just black and white, but depending on what tools you have and what colors work well on your black paper, you may experiment with different colors. And of course, at the end of the day, I don't think that the subject matters that much. You may just try different approaches and that's gonna be fine. When it comes to drawing silhouettes, one of the things that I've noticed, and I think it's pretty important to mention, is to always think of your lines that you draw with the white pencil as a space that is already filled in. So basically only the inner part is going to be visible. I don't know if I can explain it correctly, but let's say that when you are drawing on white paper, whenever you draw outlines, you imagine that everything with the outline itself is the element, is the object. For example, maybe a hat or some other stuff. But here on black paper, when we create outlines with our white pencil, those outlines are not part of the object itself, which is pretty strange at first, and I think you have to try it in order to understand what I mean. But basically I've tried to create a woman here, but I've added too many details, especially with her hands. I've just drew a few lines for her fingers, and those lines, when I fill everything with white, they disappeared. They were pretty thin. And this is when I realized that whenever I am drawing something that is smaller and I'm going to fill everything around it with white, I need to create it a bit bigger than usual in order to visually at the end represent the idea that I initially have. So that is something that I've noticed, and it's pretty important. That's why I decided in the last drawing to use basically no details, because I felt very overwhelmed after that illustration. It's important just to keep that in mind. If you decide to create some kind of a white background around your subject, create everything just slightly bigger, because the white outline is gonna be part of the background at the end. The last illustrations that I did was inspired very much by Malika Favor. She's an amazing artist and she creates those type of women. She plays very beautifully with the highlights and shadows, and I decided to try something like that on that illustration. Here as well I've used a lot of the black pencil as a modifier. I had the same issue with the mouth of the woman. I've created it pretty small, and at the end it felt like it's disappearing, so I had to use my black pencil and to modify instead of erasing, because it's gonna be way more tedious. To be honest, I've learned a lot of that 1 week of drawing with black paper, and it gave me a lot of information about how we visually receive the things that we see, and that's a really nice exercise. I encourage everyone to try just to see how it works drawing on black paper. The notebooks with black paper are pretty cheaper than the ones with white paper, so that might be another incentive for you to try it. So yeah, that was a week of drawing on black paper for me, and I'm pretty happy with the end result. I have a lot of inspirations for future drawings, and I hope I inspired you too.
After 7 days of drawing on black paper, I don't think it magically changed my art, but it did change the way I approach drawing. It helped me to slow down and to focus more on the lights, the shadows, the contrasts. What I like most is that it pushed me out of my comfort zone, and that made me present while drawing. I think experiments like this are pretty valuable, not because we need to change styles and tools all the time, but because it builds flexibility and reminds us that drawing is not about getting everything right all the time, but more about adaptation, noticing, and staying curious. If you're feeling stuck, bored, or pretty much focused on the end result, you may try just changing one single thing in your drawing routine. It might be the paper, the colors, or the tools, not to be better, but just to see what's going to happen. If you're trying drawing on black paper or some other drawing experiments, I'd love to hear how it goes in the comment section below. Thank you very much for spending the time with me, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye!